Hey guys, today we're going to do a quick video on oil change procedure for a 2017 RAV4 and pretty much any 2005 and up Toyota. They pretty much all have this system. This is my first exposure to this, having GM vehicles mainly before. All we're going to need some oil per spec, which for me is essentially the cheapest one that's on sale that meets the spec, because they change every 5,000 miles, doesn't matter what, and you should too. 10,000 mile oil changes is just not a good idea. I'm going to need a filter. The only place that sells wicks in town is closed on weekends, and I am at my mileage and need to do it. So I change it often enough, I don't really care. This is the FRAM model number for this. They're all going to have a 9972, I think, pretty much whatever it is. I'm going to need a 14 millimeter socket, 3/8 ratchet, and the next couple things are not totally necessary, but really great to have. This oil filter wrench, they're about $10, not expensive. 64 millimeter 14 flute is what you need to get for that, and that works with most of them. Some check, make sure it's the right one for your car, but of the Toyotas I've had, that's the same one for all of them. This here, you can use something else if you want, but a proper oil drain pan's nice. I like this because it has the spout, and then when you pour it, it comes out here, and you can dump it into something else. And the other thing, not absolutely necessary on a RAV4, but really nice to have, is these ramps. The way I look at it is, if I go and get an oil change in this car at a Mr. Lube or something, it costs about $120. If I get this oil and a filter, it costs me about $50. Again, whatever synthetic oil is on sale that meets the spec, plus the filter, and you know they're not using the best oil where you go anyway for a Mr. Lube. They use whatever they can get cheap. And if you change it often enough, I'm of the feeling that as long as it meets spec, you're good. I'd rather put in middle of the road oil every 5,000 than put in good oil every 10 or 20. So anyway, ramps are really nice to have. You don't need them on a RAV4, especially if you're a smaller, wiry guy, which I'm not. The ramps make a big deal of a difference. Okay, so first we got our ramps out. This car is cold. It's been sitting overnight. So we're going to start it up, let it run for just a couple of minutes. We just want a little bit of heat in the oil. You don't want it scalding your hand, but if it's really cold, it's not going to flow quite as well. Mind you, 0W20 still going to flow okay, but we'll get just enough to get the oil warm, and then we'll pull it up on here, and then we'll get under the car. It's going to inch it up. I put one foot on the gas and try and keep it steady, other foot ready on the brake, almost at the top, and you'll feel it just kind of go over the little lip. Shot of brake, and then just let off, on and off a little bit, put it in neutral, let it settle. So I'm in neutral now, no pedals, and it's sitting there. So I'm going to put it in park, and I'm going to pull the parking brake nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. Now remember, we've let it get a little bit warm, so the temperature's just starting to come off the sea. So our first trip under the car, we're going to take with us this. We're going to take with us our ratchet with our 14 mil on it, and we're going to take this drain pan and get everything into position. Now we're going to go under the car. Now you can lie down on something if you want. I don't know. I just get on the ground. So looking under the front of the car, the first thing we're going to see here, that's our oil filter housing. There are two parts to it. There's this part in the middle. This is a drain plug for the oil filter housing, so you can drain the oil filter when you take it out, which is actually really nice. We'll get to that second in our process. And here is the oil filter housing itself. So the proper way to do this, and when you put it back on, you do it the same way. You want this to be under less torque than this, so that when you put your ratchet in here, you can turn this. If you tighten the whole thing with this, then you usually won't be able to do that, and it just gets to be a lot more of a pain. So we're going to go through how to do that. Now your actual drain plug, this is your oil pan here, and your drain plug is right here, and that's your 14 mils. That's the first thing we're going to do, is open that. We're going to put our drain pan right under it and start getting the oil out of this thing. You don't want to tighten this tight at all. Enough that it won't come out, but don't over tighten it. It's not going to come out on its own. Now we want to get this positioned, because it's going to come out like this and go over that way. So we want to make sure we got room to go in that direction because it's under some pressure. You are going to get your hand oily. There's no two ways about it, but that's what rags and paper towels for. If you can get this to the point where you feel the threads are at the end and just kind of hold it in. Just hold it in and then very quickly pull it away. That's minimal oil on the hand. And we'll just let that drain. Now, while that's draining, take a look at what's in this box. This is our cartridge filter that we're going to change. There are 2 gaskets, O-rings that you must change. And they're in here, and we'll show you where they go. There's another thing in here that is very handy. And this is one thing where the Fram one is much nicer than the one you get from Wix, at least the last Wix that I got. So if you do buy one of these Fram ones, save this thing, because it makes it a lot easier for draining the filter. We'll get to that next. Okay, it's been draining for several minutes now, and it's a very, very thin, it's kind of just turning into little drops down here, and any slight breeze is making it really go. So to me, that's close enough. I'm going to try and get this back in nice and quick without making a mess of myself. And I come at it from back here. Oh, yeah, here we go. The main thing is to get it to not drip down your arm. If you can just get it on your hand, that's okay. Shake it off. Don't let it drip down your arm and into your armpit. That's no fun. There, so got that on. Hand to go with a little rag. Now you can wear gloves, of course. That's the best way to do it. I just don't bother most of the time. I don't know what the foot-pounds of this is supposed to be, but just snug, not squeezing tight. I've never had one of these come out, and I've been changing oil my whole adult life. Okay, next thing we're going to do is deal with this thing right here. Now we're going to move our pan so that it gets closer to where this is. This is also going to involve moving the camera just a little bit there. And we're going to take our 3/4. We're going to set it to loosen, because we had it on tight in there last. Take this off. Put this right in there. An extension would be ideal. I might get an extension, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Nope, there. Comes loose nice and easy. And at that point, you can take it the rest of the way by hand. You shouldn't get dirty here. No, just a little drip. Take this, set it on a piece of paper towel or something so it doesn't get dirt on it, sand or gravel or anything like that. This is our oil filter housing. This is full of oil. This little thing they give you is really nice from Fram because it's a screw-in. The one from Wix, at least the ones I've got up here in Canada, are like jam-in, and you just make a bigger mess of yourself. This one here is a push-in, or a screw-in, so you just start it on the thread. Start it, adjust your oil pan here, and you turn it just far enough, it starts to drain through it. And this is really slick. So we'll let that go for a little while until it drains out. Okay, I'd say that's pretty well done. That's just one drip every few seconds. That's as good as we're going to get it. So, take this out. Now we're going to take our oil filter wrench. We're going to put it on like that. It should just kind of jam on and stay there. Same thing, we're set to loosen. Should use an extension here, that would be easier, but you guys may not have one, so let's just make sure it's doable without it. Yep. Again, this is not too tight at all. Just hand tight. You can feel it going against the O-ring that's in there. Same thing when you tighten it. You just want to tighten it. There is a spot where it stops. And it compresses the O-ring to kind of give it tension. But there's a spot where it stops, and the metal contacts the metal, and that's where you stop when tightening it. Don't crank it. To the point now where it's loose enough, I can finish it by hand. If I can just get this out of here, that'd be great. Doesn't easily want to do it. There, okay. Extension would be nice for this. There. And we got our oil filter housing out. Now we'll take this up to the table there and show you what to do with this. Okay, now we've got the unit on the table. What we're going to do is take the old oil filter out of it. There, it's our old filter. I like to just sort of put that back in the box with a piece of paper towel to kind of hold it. And this will have to go, you know, if you have a hazardous waste depot, whatever, that should go there. I don't put that inside, I leave that outside just in case. Anyway, now we got this part. Here is our oil filter housing. It is kind of stuck onto the wrench, which happens, and you need to take it off to do this part. So just pry it off with anything, flathead screwdriver, whatever. Or you even kind of just whack it on the ground, but this way is a little bit better. Keeping lots of paper towel just so I don't make myself more messy than I have to. Turn this upside down. We have 2 O-rings to replace this one right here. You can just kind of shake this out, but I'm going to pop it out because I have the means to pop it out. We'll stick that in here. All right, we'll give it a nice little clean out with some paper towel. Leave a little bit of oil in there, though. Yes, maybe we should use new oil, but there's enough in there. It'll do just fine for this. Set our new one in. Excellent. Okay, get a little bit of more oil on this so that it's going to go in easily. All right, we want to have a little thin oil on that. At this point, we're going to take our little drain cap, put it on, and I'm going to use the ratchet, set it to tighten, and I'm only going to tighten it like this, just hand tight with me holding the housing. And it gets to a point where it stops, that's enough. Turn it upside down. We have this one here. This also must be changed. Let's take our little tool here. Anything can be used for this, really. It doesn't matter the condition of this one because it's just going to come off anyway. You want to be careful you don't damage the new one when you put it on, but it's easier to get on than off. Throw that in there. Your hand's a little wipe. Take the new one, I'm just going to dip it in a little bit of oil. Got a little bit of fresh oil in a cap here. Just dip it in it. And you could do this with the other one too. There was just plenty of oil on the other one anyway, so. And you can do this with, you should ideally do this with the other one too. There was a fair bit of oil left in that little channel, so that's good enough for me. That oil's not going to make its way into the engine, it's just to help this get on really. Okay, and then we'll take the new one and we're going to put it on. Try and not spin it too much. Sure that it's sitting nice and round. Yep, and we got a nice film of oil around that, which is beautiful. It's going to wipe off the outside a little bit. And pop our new filter in. That's it. They're the same top and bottom. See? That's it. We're ready to put it back on the car. Okay, now we're back at the car. We're going to put this back on, the housing with the filter in it. And this is going to be strictly done by hand, except possibly at the very end. Okay, I've got it in as far as I can comfortably do it hand tight, but there's still, you can feel there's still some tread left here. So we're going to use the socket and we're just going to turn it until it stops. It's not a matter of stopping and then cinching and all that stuff just till it stops. It's a very hard point where it stops. I feel that. It's almost closed. There. Very hard point where it stops. It won't turn any further. So there we go. She's on. Now, what you want to do is move your oil pan out of the way. And then just give this a little tap. You'll fall right off. Now we fill it up with oil. Your oil fill is right on top of the engine. And pretty much all these is a cutout on the engine cover. We got it open. Now we're going to start adding oil. Now, this sort of goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. This is not a job to start and come back to. Once you start this job, you should finish it. It's too easy to get your oil drained and everything all put back together on the bottom and then maybe forget that you didn't put the new oil in. Once you start this job, finish it. Don't start it till you know that you have a half an hour or whatever of time that you can do it. So I'm starting off by pouring in the remainder of another jug. I'm going to use this jug for my waste oil. Now this car takes 4.4 liters or 4.6 quarts. I like the oil that comes in 5 liter and that the fact that this Pennzoil comes in 5 liters. Some of them come in 4.5, whatever, which is enough either way. Just nice to get a little extra. So yes, it takes 4.6 liters. 4.4 liters, 4.6 quarts. We don't know though. You don't just put that much in. If you do that, you will most likely overfill it. We have to put in enough that we know we're safe and then start testing it. Because you never know how much is actually left in the engine. So I put in probably a quart from that other jug. So I'm going to put in another 2 or 2 and a bit out of this one. Then I'm going to start it and take it off the ramps and start checking the oil level. We know it's going to take most of this, but it's definitely not going to take all, especially with some from that last one. You do not want to overfill it. It's bad for pretty much any engine, and you're going to wind up starting the process over again and draining some out and trying to figure out how much you took out. Just no fun. So I've now put 2.5 liters in it, almost 3 quarts plus that one. That's enough for me for now. It's enough to safely start the engine and move it off the ramps. This engine does not have blow-by, but I'm going to put this on anyway just because I don't want it rolling off. When you're coming off the ramp, you want to put it in reverse, of course. No gas. Just lightly. Keep your foot on the brake, lightly letting it off. Once you feel it starting to come down, just stay steady. Perfect, and we're off it. Okay, we're back under the hood again. We're going to wipe this little bit off from our oil cap. Take it off again. Put it up here. And we're going to check our oil. See what the dipstick reads. Always when you check the oil, wipe off the dipstick first and put it back in. And it's sometimes tricky to read this. I don't know how you can see this on the video. But there's oil all the way up to here, but it's not there. You see it just on the outsides. Look for where the oil is solid across the whole thing. From here down, it's solid. If you can see, up here there is oil all the way up to here, but it's only on the outsides. There's a noticeable difference right here. That's what you're looking for. So this is our add level. This is our full level. And we're just a tad on the add side of the middle. So we're going to put a little bit more in and go until we get there. Most cars that I know of, the distance between the add would be 1 quart low. So we have 2.5 quarts left in this container, and we have to fill up about 2/3 of a quart. So essentially put in about a little over half a quart, and then I'm going to check it again. That's just a little bit below 2. So we'll let that settle for a minute because it's got to comes in on the cylinder head. It's got to drain down into the pan. We want an accurate measurement of how much is in the pan. While we're letting this drain, one kind of interesting thing I will say. I just replaced the battery this summer. This car is a 2017. It's an 8-year-old battery plus. And I sprung for a new Toyota battery because I've never had a car battery last anywhere near that long. Every other car battery, I'm always changing batteries in cars because I used to have a lot of cars. I've kind of cleaned house now. We're down to 3. But I used to have 5 and 6 cars at different times. And I was always putting batteries in. Every year I'd put a battery in a car. And usually would only get, 2, 3, 4 years out of one. I'm willing to spend it's only an extra $30 to get the Toyota battery. We'll see if it works as well as the last one. But like I say, 8 years plus. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's just check it now. Push this all the way down. Okay. See if we get a clean reading, and we do get a clean reading. If you can see, there's our full, and we're just ever so slightly below the full. I'm going to keep going like this because it might show up for you. So right at the end of my finger is about where the oil level is. So honestly, that's good enough. I'm just going to put one little more glug in there and call it good. That's probably less than a cup. This car doesn't use any oil, but I still like to have it as close to where it's supposed to be as possible. Take this out. You're working on cars, things are going to get dirty and oily, but it's nice to just minimize that as much as you can within reason. There, clean. Didn't take long. Okay, so that's had a minute to settle, so we're just going to put this in, check and see what we got, and that is perfect. That stops right at that hole. If you can see, it is right where my thumb is. Dipstick back in, put our old fill cap back in, and we're done. And I now have about 2 quarts left of this to go towards my next one. The reason I have 2 quarts left is because there was about 1 quart left in the last one, which I used for this also. What I do is my trip A is my miles since fill, and my trip B is my miles since oil change. So you can see I am overdue. Having said that, it's been all highway going back and forth to the boat this summer, but that's why I wanted to get her done this weekend. Usually I get it within 5 to 6. So we're going to reset this because we just changed the oil. So this is going to be, when it gets to 5,000, that's your oil change. Look at our mileage, 89,554. So we want to put our oil change for 95,000 miles. And I've got a little sticker, I'm going to write that on. Here's the old one I used last time, and get these on Amazon. So I just scratched out the old one and put the new one on. Why not? And we'll change it again next time. I'll put links for all this stuff in the description too, the parts and all that stuff if you want to get those. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you again in the next one.